Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Animazing Podcast. This is your secret agent of super sexy awesomeness, D. And we also got Modi here, and we are witnessing the return of Matt and Cecile. Matt was kidnapped recently, and we did not pay the ransom, and Cecile is sick and also has a cold.
Okay, by the end of the podcast, you, my loyal viewers, will know whether or not Cecile is sick.
Before we start the episode, I wanted to say something. The entire internet gaslit Sony into re-releasing Morbius, and it bombed again. It bombed again. They saw the memes and they thought that people liked it so much that if we release it, this piece of shit will actually make money. But
you know what is making money though? Spy Family.
Yeah, sorry, it is making money. My bad.
So is this a Morbius podcast or Spy X Family?
Every podcast is a Morbius podcast.
Yes.
That's the Morbius update of this week.
Everyone knows Morbius is the most influential character in Spy Family, okay?
Oh, are you talking about the collaboration between the two? Yeah, when Anya Forger was fighting. Yeah. Sorry, no spoilers, my bad.
Awesomeness. Dang it, you manga readers always spoil everything. Yeah. Jeez. You're just jealous of us anime-only watchers getting more than, 1 frame a second, okay?
I think we should explain to people what's going to go on because the viewers are going to see that we are talking about 4 episodes this time when the 9th episode just came out.
Okay, yeah. So, any of the 18 subscribers, beautiful subscribers of this channel, will know that First Impressions are a long-running series that we've done. We typically, though, we do 2 episodes. This time we're doing 4. And I'm glad we're doing 4 because if we had stopped at episode 2 or 3, I would have had a very different opinion of this show.
Yes.
But about that's a good segue. Let's actually talk about the show. So what did you guys what did you guys think?
I am very mixed about it. So this is going to be a spoiler for my rating, but I'm bouncing between 2 things. I can't tell if it's a 8 out of 10 show or a 6 out of 10 show. Psychologically, if I'm being an intellectual about it and being a true critic, I would say an 8 out of 10. But if I'm being listening to my gut and going with my first instinct, I'm almost tempted to call it a 6 out of 10. And I think it has the issue of, so when you're watching shonen or reading, or in Cecile's case, reading shonen, all the big arcs usually have some sort of goal. In JoJo's they're going to fight Dio, or in Dragon Ball Z they're going to fight Vegeta, or in Jujutsu Kaisen they're going to collect all the fingers, etc., etc. This sets up the whole goal of getting close to this political figure in the school. But I think my biggest issue is I really don't care about the goal. I'm incredibly uninterested in it. And while it does seem like a derision of the show, I will say that with that aside, the character dynamics, the animation, character designs, and just overall writing of it is really top notch. I think my biggest issue with it is, so for a personal thing for me, is that I've always had a hard time watching My Hero Academia because individual episodes feel kind of slow, but I kind of get through it because I'm waiting for that big epic shonen fight Endeavor versus Nomu, or All Might versus All for One. The Spy Family feels like the opposite, where I'm tolerating the lackluster goal, but I'm enjoying the individual episodes leading up to it. And it kind of comes at the risk of me not being super excited to watch an episode. I have to drag myself to watch it, but never feeling like I wasted any time watching said episode.
It's probably because of your personality, honestly. It just differs per person with how they react to wholesome family, kind of more like a shoujo kind of series, or yeah, but with your personality, D, it's clearly jam packed with explosions, fires, punch scenes, all that. This isn't the case, okay? This is something that the author wrote. I don't know if you guys heard, but the author of the series didn't exactly want to write this kind of like family situation. It was more of a like, what does the audience want from like the anime community, etc. But with that, I can see that the author didn't really, I'm not sure exactly their plan when they first started writing it. It was to overcome a writer's block in their scenario, but at the same time, it's like, well, even if you're coming out of a writer's block, where is the series going? It's become so popular out of their like unexpected, reactions from the audience of how much they love it. But at the same time, like they don't know, possibly, this is my assumption, that they don't know what's going to happen in the future. At the same time, I think there is something like leading up to like how the audience can understand the bigger plot of the war, of what's going on versus with the government versus like the left versus the right of this universe in a sense. I also think the relationship dynamic between, you're the assassin, for Lloyd the spy, Anya and Esper, like all of that kind of leads to a tension that you don't see at first, but I think it'll lead it to something more where they're gonna be enemies in the future, likely. And also there's gonna be future thing with yours family side of the family, which gets a little more complicated. So there's gonna be enemies there. It's like, and then you also find more about Lloyd's history with like the war, the complications that the politics have brought up. And I'm like, and that in like the second episode or first episode or so, Anya's backstory is her existence came to be from like a science experiment. But I'm starting to think that the science experience had to do something with politics. Like they said, her existence is for world peace. What is her role in that? And so even though like it's not seen as like a action packed, I don't like the plot isn't exactly there right now, and the audience doesn't exactly have a care for the politics at first. It's kind of like leading up to that. There's also a lot of foreshadowing. I don't know if you've seen it, but in the second no. In the second episode, there was a lot of mention about Desmond, who was the political figure you mentioned earlier on, and Desmond is an interesting character. We don't know too much about him, but at the same time, his connection with, oh shoot, do I say this? Oh, never mind. I'm not gonna say this because the character isn't mentioned in the first 4 episodes. Damn. Okay, never mind.
They haven't even gotten to the episode with the castle.
All right, I'm gonna have this is my like first like 100% super accurate fan theory. The experiment was to create the world's perfect loli to unite the world under.
God.
Fact.
Why did you have to bring that up? Shut up. Fuck you.
I have a few things I want to say to respond to you guys. One thing about you said that people may not really feel like they know what's going to happen in the future. To me, I feel like it doesn't really matter. To me, I feel like the whole spy plot and like the whole thing between the two countries, that just seems like kind of like a dress up for the story, if that makes any sense. Like I don't feel like that's what the true story is about. To me, it's like the theme of the story, but like I feel like what the story is actually about is just about like these 3 people who are like technically using each other for their own needs, but then in the end, I think the opposite of what you think, Cecile, about how like they're gonna end up fighting each other. I think it's gonna be the opposite. I think in the end they're gonna there's probably gonna be some sort of moment where they have to make a choice between going through with the mission or staying as a family, and I think that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna stay as a family, and I feel like that's probably where the story is just headed overall. And I feel like that's the main point of the story, and the spy stuff is just like thematic.
Mm-hmm. It feels like a sitcom retrofitted into a shonen writing style.
I don't even.
Is this a shonen?
I don't even really see it as shonen, honestly. I don't because I don't really see any reason to see it as similar to shonen. I think it's just like a comedy series. That's what I see it as. I see it as like a heartwarming
I
comedy
do see it
series.
as that, but I want it to be more. Like, I think a lot of anime can reflect like our societal, like, pressures and difficulties. And so I'm like, I want it to be something where it does involve more politics, maybe not specific to like a specific country or something like that, like our country, but I would like it to go into the field of like is family more important? What are the values of politics? How does it like impact like your everyday family in a sense?
One thing I will say is that there have been other series from Shonen Jump before that have started off like with a very loose plot and more comedy in the beginning, and then like as it goes on, and it seems like from what you're talking about, Cecile, since you read the manga, it seems like it does kind of get more serious later on as like the families are introduced and all that. But I see that a lot where like things start out more like kind of not that serious, and then later on the like actual main plot of the story steps in, and like big themes come in, and like that kind of thing happened. One, especially Gintama. I don't know how many of you have like seen much of Gintama, but Gintama is a good example of that. And like, yeah, and like Hitman Reborn also. So it could happen. I think it could happen with Spy Family.
It definitely doesn't follow the strict guidelines of shonen manga, where like in the first episode, life is like really good. The male protagonist is having his best life, and then something critical happens. The whole supernatural things kick in, and like a war goes on or something like that.
Right.
You see all the family members they have, and like, oh, they're gonna die. Bye bye.
Can I just point out how uncanny valley this series is?
What do you mean?
Like, it's so weird. Like, Anya's a anime child, and she has a seemingly healthy, stable, well-adjusted childhood, or, like, family. Like, this is anime, okay? She shouldn't have a healthy support network until, like, she's, 16?
And I mean, she's obviously negatively affected
household,
by it, though.
A two-parent household? What the hell?
Oh, okay, so it's a joke. All right. I agree with Modi though. I think it's, I feel like the plot was more so the initiator and like, sort of background to what the story is really about, which is about Lloyd, Anya, and Yor kind of like becoming like, changing through each other and becoming less of a, I don't know if cynical is the right word, but like finding family in each other.
Yeah.
So it's like more about the character interactions than it is like whereas something like, I feel like with Jujutsu Kaisen, there's more of an emphasis placed on like the actual goal, to where a lot of the times the character stuff kind of gets left to the foreground. Not foreground, what? To the background. To like the plot stuff. And this is and I'm not a huge fan of that, because a lot of times you get characters that aren't really, there's not really that much to them. So I can kind of appreciate a show that has more of a focus on that. I just hope they continue to develop it, and it's not just like remain stagnant.
Because it definitely feels like it prioritizes character over plot as extremely hard.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing, and it's refreshing for a series that comes out of Shonen Jump. I feel like you can have something that's in Shonen Jump, but it doesn't necessarily have to be Shonen. There's a lot of series like that, actually, when I think about it.
Me as a gatekeeper is just like shaking his head, but you know what? It's good. I'll let it pass. I'll allow it.
I mean, there was
I could what? Sorry, go on.
There was that other series. Oh man, I forgot what it's called. But
exactly.
It was a rom-com. I forgot what it was called, but
oh man, was that the one with like the guy dating the mob daughter?
Yes, exactly.
Nisekoi, right?
Yeah, Nisekoi. That's it. Yeah, so there's a bunch of genres in there. But yeah, that's besides the point, I guess. One of you guys, I forgot who, started to talk about Anya. What do we think about her in general?
Best character.
I love her. She's adorable, and also they put a lot of effort onto like her animations as well, which I think was a good choice. Like just like dancing
single one of her
around.
expressions is a profile pic.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, Matt, but I'm just now realizing it since you said it. And yeah, you're right. They did that, and it's good that they did because like I feel like it's hard to make a character look cute if you don't, go hard with the Sakuga. So yeah, it's good that they did that.
One of the things I really do like about her is she's easily like proportional to her age. She's easily the smartest of the three. Easily.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't think she's
I
the
would
smartest.
definitely say that.
The thing is, it's not that she's smart, it's that she can literally read minds, and she's next to two incredibly smart people.
I would disagree, because, like, it's like the scene where she's about to get adopted, like, she reads his mind, she gets on her tippy toes to counter the whole short thing, and the first thing she does to test her intelligence is to literally grab a hard crossword puzzle and do it directly in front of his sight, because she knew she could read his mind. That is very clever.
I don't know if she intentionally does it all the time, because we've seen situations where she's overwhelmed by the amount of people that are around her, because that's why she doesn't like crowds, because she's like hearing what everybody thinks, because she's like doing it subconsciously. No, but obviously she's going to be reading the mind of the guy that wants to.
I'm saying that like the reason she's uncomfortable with crowds, like yes, it's like because she can hear everyone's thoughts. I think it's actually because of a side effect of her power. Like obviously with supernatural powers, we like to assume that there's like a counteracting kind of thing. I don't know if you noticed, but this kind of surprised me because I didn't remember seeing it in the manga. But in the scene where they're chasing after, I think it was like an episode 3 where they're like trying to build a family kind of relationship in order to practice for the interview. There was like a theft kind of, right? And as Anya is trying to like figure out where the theft went, she was reading the crowd's minds and it was like difficult for her, and then she started nosebleeding. And I think it's a side effect and so like she's not able to fully use her powers with that.
So the way I sort of interpreted that is it's like a limit thing. Like if she's reading one mind, it's all right. But when you have like 100 people around her all thinking, it can kind of cause her to like overload, I guess.
I think you guys are thinking of it like too shonen anime-y. I think it's just like there's a lot of people talking all at once, and it's hard for her.
And then so she has a nosebleed. She has a physical AML.
Yeah.
Yes, because this is an anime.
Because she's being overexerted.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Nah. The anime thing, like the nosebleeds only happen for a certain type of situation that this is definitely not. So I think I agree with
How do you know? Maybe she's a pervert.
yeah, for the people for the random people walking on the street, yeah.
Listen, kids develop early sometimes, and girls develop earlier than boys, so I'm just saying. Just saying. But yeah, I definitely think, like, proportionate to her age, she is far smarter than him. Like, look at Lloyd. Like, yours freaking doing kung fu is completely unfazed by, like, explosions and chaos. Is able to, like, detect his, like, detective vision before he can react. And is, like, lusting over pictures of, like, knives and people getting decapitated. Like, those are a lot of red flags that I would be fully down for.
I think it was really funny thing. Like, she simps over guillotines and knives. And something else. Compared to her interview skills, like during episode 4 with like the 3 headmasters and stuff like that, the way she replied so curtly and etc. with not very much, I don't know, like detailed or like kind of like, sentences with a lot of vocabulary, high level vocabulary, something like that. Like my interview skills are better than hers, and I'm like, how old are you again? I don't know. It's like I don't know how to assess her. Like she's smart, but then like she knows the acupuncture points. She knows body anatomy pretty well. She knows how knives work, how guillotines work. Like
she's stabby smart, not like academic smart.
Well, it also makes sense because Lloyd's whole thing is being able to fit in and change his identity completely. So obviously he'd be good at those aspects of blending in, whereas Yor is an assassin. Like most of what she knows, I mean, there's going to be some element of that where she knows how to blend in well, but like it's mostly going to be stabby, kill with her. And we kind of saw Anya's like kind of the weakest out of them, because her like limit is that she only knows as much as she can like read the minds of, which like messes her up in various situations.
I think Anya's pretty overrated.
We didn't say that.
Monster.
I don't think she's overrated. I just don't think she's as powerful.
Okay, in fact, this builds into my whole opinion of this series, which is that I think the series is pretty much like built on the back of Anya, and because Anya's overrated, Spy Family is also overrated. That's my.
You guys have seen 4 episodes. I will accept
that opinion. That is a fair opinion.
You guys have seen 4 episodes. You've not seen Anya be dirty yet, or like like
what does
be
dirty
shitty
mean?
to other people yet. like underhanded and sneaky.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant by that.
Well, yeah, no, I have.
Yeah.
I have when Lloyd and Yor first met in the tailor shop, and she was like, "Oh, I wish I had a mom," and blah blah blah. She was doing like sneaky stuff, shadow play to get them.
She's a child, of course.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying
critiquing
it's bad.
Anya.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying Matt was saying that I hadn't seen her acting like that. I was just explaining that I did.
Interesting.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think that it's a good show, but I just think it's just like I don't get why it's loved as much as it is, And maybe it gets better because like after episode 4 was like much funnier to me than the first 3. So if like it keeps up this quality like from episode 4, then I can see the hype around it. But so far I think it's good, but I don't think it's like, all that spectacular.
I do agree with your statement of like this show is like built on the backs of Anya. I think if you replaced her with like a Promised Neverland kid, it would not be as popular as it is.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
wait, you replaced him with a bad character?
and I mean, yeah, that's actually a good point, Matt, because like I think the whole point of it is that it's built on Anya. I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think that Anya's kind of overrated, and yeah, that's all.
I think it's more built on Lloyd, honestly. I think Lloyd is more central than Anya.
I mean, as a main character, yes, but as like the hook of the story, I definitely don't think so. I definitely think.
But I don't think the. I don't think.
Modi.
Sorry, go on.
Like we're gonna we need to piss. I'm about to ask a question that's gonna piss off one fan base really hard. Anya or Nezuko? Who do you pick? Who do you prefer?
Anya. Oh my god!
Wait, which was Nezuko?
I'm actually gonna say Nezuko.
Oh my god!
I'm actually gonna say Nezuko. Yeah.
Okay.
You're trash.
I am trash.
Speaking of promised. Okay, I just looked up who Nezuko was. Fuck you. Speaking of like really smart children, I was going to be very upset at first when we were first introduced to Anya, and they were like, "Oh my god, she's super smart. She solved this crossword puzzle in like minutes." And I was so glad they're like, "Oh, it's because she's literally reading his mind right now, but she's like a normal child otherwise." Because if they just started it off like, "Oh, she's a super genius at age like 5," I think that would have been more like annoying to me.
Why is
I think
that?
it really works well because like Anya's realistically smart for her age. It isn't like, okay, I'm gonna like come up with this 4D chess maneuver out my butt kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
What was 4D chess about her reading the mind of the person?
No, I'm saying it wasn't like that. Like it was realistic for like it was a realistically clever thing for a child her age.
Yeah. Like, that is something a smart 4-year-old would do. Or a smart 5-year-old would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think those are good points.
Also, I said this last series, but one of the things that annoys me about shonen anime, or just anime in general, is how much characters like to self-monologue to like a really annoying degree, and kind of like a makes me feel like they think I'm dumb degree. But here it's kind of justified, because you literally have a character that can read that can read minds. So like what you're hearing is also like what sort of Anya is hearing. And it also makes sense for like how like Lloyd's brain works, where he's just like overly like thinking everything.
Wait.
So I feel like it was a good way to implement that sort of trope more organically than other shows would.
So you're saying that this one little plot device is all you needed for you to be okay with the inner monologues? That's all?
It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's better. I think it's a better explanation than like treating me like I'm stupid.
Wow. Okay.
By the show.
Okay.
It's not like, again, it's not perfect, but I also think her power can be inconsistent sometimes. I also think the way that she reacts to certain scenarios is like when she saw a guy get shot in front of her. I feel like that should have like messed with her brain a little bit more. But I mean, I like her as a character more than I thought I would.
It's a rubber bullet, Matt. Those don't kill people.
It was a rubber bullet, yeah.
They were playing tag. It was like a paintball.
That's also something else I wanted to mention, which is that something I noticed about the show is it's like the tone is it's weird. I want to say it's weird, but that sounds bad. I think it's weird in a good way, where like it's serious, but it's also goofy. You know, like the plot revolves around like murder and covert warfare, and you see them chopping heads off like every episode. But the actual like drama of the story is about them getting into like an elementary school. you know it's like it's a pretty interesting contrast between those two things.
Yeah,
I also like how over the top it can be. I feel like it works better for something that's more slice of lifey, because like for example, during the exam, when just the random like animals breaking through during the interview, and where they have to like where Yor has to beat up a cow. Wait, have you guys gotten there yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was crazy.
Or just how that entire situation was ridiculous, where you had the one headmaster that was like obsessed about
elegant.
elegance, and then like fucking Lloyd has 3 different suits prepared for like every situation.
That was the funniest part. Like I actually died laughing when he pulled out the 3rd suit. that was like when my opinion of the show really started to change. I was
yeah.
I also
Man's getting next level.
I really liked that housemaster, the one with the beard. Like he kind of reminds me of like, at first he reminded me of like Dr. Doofenshmirtz or something, or like Mojo Jojo. But I mean that changed by the end of the episode. And he might actually be my favorite character right now. Like I like characters who are like unexpectedly honorable, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's cool. He's I think he's honorable with like when he punched the other housemaster out of honor, not elegance. I would guess. I think.
To be fair, that guy was asking for it super hard. That was going to happen regardless that day.
It was so funny when he said like he was like handsome man with a hot wife. Oh, makes me sick. I'll pick them apart. I'll destroy their lives.
How do you guys feel about the reaction Anya, like when she started crying about the question of like, did you like your old mom better or your new mom? Because no information is given, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. And so at this point, it's just like I'm very curious to know about Anya's history. Like even though from Lloyd's perspective and his digging up, there was like no parents, no information about his organization that created her. Like how was she created? Was it like human bodies or like chemistry experiments?
So I really like that scene because there's a lot of really good like subtle writing in this show, and I think that's one of them because like that scene does hint at there's a past with her mother and everything. But that's honestly how a normal kid react. Like an adult asks you like, "Hey, who do you like better, your dead mom or your live mom?" Like how the heck are you supposed to react to that?
I took that part when she was crying. I didn't think about like I guess the plot related stuff that could be causing her to cry, you know, like the major backstory stuff. I just thought, yeah, like she probably just was crying because they they asked her about her mom. But that's true. Like there's probably a lot. She might not even have had a mom, like you said. Like she could have just been like a, maid in a lab and
test tube baby.
Yeah. So yeah, that is interesting to think about, and it makes you. That's like a little nugget that that makes you interested in like the wider plot for later, I guess.
The entire school is wild because it took me halfway through the episode where I completely forgot how these kids are like 5 years old, and there's like an entire interview process that's like
yeah
to the point where like the parents are yelling at their like 5-year-old child, like the other families, being like, "How could you not know that answer, you dumbass?" And
I don't know if it's a translation issue on my part, but like they called it like Edna College. Is it a college?
Yeah. It's probably like one of those schools that goes from like kindergarten all the way through 12th grade or something. Probably something like that.
That's what they said. It goes all the way to the end of high school.
In other languages, college doesn't necessarily mean university. It might mean like middle school or something. So
that's true.
I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Oh yeah. Yeah, that school is definitely a terrible place. Like obviously, like the fact that they have like they blackmail one of their students into like drowning in a puddle.
Okay, hold up. It's not blackmailing. Okay, let me explain this.
I mean, it kind of is. It pretty much is blackmail, Cecile. It pretty much is. Like
no, that's not the system that they have. I don't know. Like they kind of described it at first. Like the child was saying like, "Oh, I have to get like points or something like that, or I have to get some kind of like." I don't remember what they phrased it as, but it was some kind of like a achieve or like not honorable, but like something that like increased his social status in the school, right? That's kind of how this system works. Of like they'll explain in the future, but it's also generally known when it's like it's still presented in the episodes. But like if you do something like amazingly good, like basically win a Nobel Prize, right? You get a star. If you don't do something good, you get like a thunderbolt or something like that, like a thunderbolt sticker. Kind of like how our education system was in elementary school. You go up the like the clip ladder to good, or if you do something bad, you go to the clip ladder down to the red zone or something like that. That's kind of how they phrase it as with this scenario. So I'm like, okay, it's not a threat. They're not blackmailing this child. They just have a flawed system. They have a flawed system of doing good and doing bad, but they don't really define what's good and what's bad.
It's still ridiculous,
Can you imagine being
though.
that student? You're just walking through the hall, and all of a sudden your math teacher just tells you, drown in that lake and try to sabotage that family or expelled. Also, they just let an entire stampede of animals like break out. Like,
well, they didn't let. That was unexpected.
Well,
but they did imply that it was an option. They did imply that it was an option. That he's like, I didn't tell you to take out the animals yet.
They were implying on
that. That whole interview process was pretty funny.
Yeah.
My favorite part was definitely the punch at the end of the episode. That was great. Were there any, did you guys
just save that man's life?
Yeah. Did you guys have any like moments in those first 4 episodes that, really that stood out to you?
Well, also Lloyd saved him from a mosquito. He could have died.
Oh, true. Yeah. The hero, as usual.
Okay, I mean, well, actually, if you think about it, if he just let Yor go nuts, there would have been no one to tell them they could not go to that school.
There would have been no one, period.
Yeah. Exactly. Mission accomplished.
I'm curious about your guys' thoughts on the other 2 main characters. We already talked about Anya, but you guys think about Lloyd and Yor?
Yor's best girl, and Lloyd he's solid. I appreciate that he's a spy and everything, and he's the cold calculating type, but he isn't like a sociopath. He isn't like, oh yeah, I'm going to tie a bomb. I'm going to use this like emotionally damaged orphan as a disposable pawn in my game. Like, he does seem to really care about Anya and really like, he feels like how a human would act in that kind of situation.
He definitely has a lot of empathy towards children without even really kind of like acknowledging it. As you saw in like the first episode, he was like, he hates crying children. Oh, he must be shitty, bad person. Then it goes to see of like, oh, I remember why I hate crying children is because I remember my childhood being of continuously crying, no one being able to help me. That goes into this background story, but that can be explained later. For the most part, you can understand him as someone who tried to cut off his emotions because of his spy work, but he still has a lot of empathy and he has a lot of growth potential. You see, the whole thing about this anime, the potential of it, is that everyone has growth potentials. And I love that in every single character. Because, like, this whole series almost feels like saying that, like, children are developing and they're changing, whether for the good or the bad. But in the end, we would like them to change for the better of the world, like, world peace kind of thing. I like that ideology. I like the fact that we can not just associate one character to be completely evil, except the government. Screw the government. But
damn it, you switched the state, like you said the controversial statement too early.
The premise is really good. I really like the idea that this emotionless top tier spy, in order to like do his next mission, has to like form a family, but the result of forming that fake family makes him actually feel something for other people.
Do you think this show is like secret propaganda to get the people of Japan to have more children?
They were like, Anya's so cute, I want an Anya of my own.
I know, right? Okay, I know.
Wouldn't that just make them want to adopt? That's all it'll do.
Boom! Is even more like humanitarian propaganda. It's pro-orphan. I think we could all get behind that.
Everyone knows kids are actually terrible.
Quick
Man,
question.
You're so cynical, okay?
What time period is this show? Is it like the 50s, the 60s, or something? Like, can you guys tell?
Yes.
Okay.
Something like that, yeah.
All right.
I think it's definitely like its own fictional world, but I think it is definitely 1950s. This feels like...
Didn't it say, like, in the first episode, I don't remember saying the date, but I remember it saying, like, Berlin. It's in Berlin.
Yeah.
I wonder what that place is.
It definitely feels like it's inspired off, like, Germany and, like, Cold War type stuff, you know?
Definitely off of, like, older spy kind of drama stuff taking place in that era, like, or stories taking place in that era. They've captured the whole vibe down, or even the art style in the beginning, the opening for like the first half of it, feels very reminiscent of like sort of older art. What do you call that art style?
Noir, pulp.
Yeah, both in the segment where they're very simplified, and also like afterwards, just like it I think it captures that feeling pretty well.
I think, like, I love the fact that, like, they made a main character like a spy, but at the same time, like, you can see the personality, the music as well. I know, like, with a lot of the scenic scenes, like, when they were enjoying their family kind of like day kind of thing, they looked over the view of the city, and at the same time they were playing like a kind of jazz you would hear often in like European cities and cafes and stuff like that, and a lot of it was very like bouncy, and it gave it personality, like Anya's personality, and I thought that was the cutest thing ever. Like, the whole wholesome scenes are often balanced with like music that adds personality to it, and I'm like, this is the cutest thing in the freaking world.
It needs more explosions, okay? I can't like process my emotions unless it has like a over-the-top shonen overcoming adversity undertone to it, okay?
Okay, give it a season. They'll go into the war. There's gonna definitely be bombs.
One of my favorite parts was like in episode 2 when like he literally blows up his supposed patience in the middle of proposing to her. Like,
that's how I want to propose. Okay?
With
that
the grenade ring.
Proposing.
Yeah, like
he uses the grenade ring as a proposal. That was perfect.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Like, that's how I'm getting married. Okay, I'm not even gonna warn my fiance. I'm just gonna like pull out a grenade, pull the pin out, and just throw it in the background.
You guys are forgetting we forgot to talk about the best character and also best girl as because of episode 2, Frankie.
Frankie? Who's Frankie?
I don't know what Lloyd was saying, but
deny that.
Frankie was looking pretty cute episode 2.
The handler guy?
Yep.
He's like the informant guy that.
Okay. I mean,
Uncle Frankie.
he's like
Uncle
totally
Frankie.
irrelevant to me. What do you have to say about him, Matt?
Next episode, you'll disagree.
Yes.
Episode 5?
Oh man, you missed episode 5.
Yeah.
That's definitely a really great episode. You definitely see a lot of like Studio Wit coming in to handle the animation.
Oh wow. Okay.
So also, by the way, this is a joint effort between between Studio Wit and Clover, and top tier stuff. Really top tier stuff. Like, there's not much action in it, but when it is actiony, it goes very hard.
Oh, did you guys
And
hear?
it's honestly,
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I find it really funny that after what was the Studio Wit got stopped doing like Attack on Titan, they started doing a lot of these like really upbeat feel good shows like Ranking of Kings, and now whatchamacallit, Spy Family.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to wash the negativity out of their mouth. But apparently, actually, Studio Wit and Cloverworks like merged, and they're like merging with Shonen Jump and some game company I forgot. But like all 4 of those are like coming together to make like a super team or whatever.
That's gonna be really awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I would much rather Shonen Jump be working with Wit instead of Toei, like, easily.
Yeah.
But I don't know if, like, Toei's... Because I know Toei has an animation studio, and it's also, like, a producer company, or a publisher kind of thing. But I heard that update, and I heard they were trying to go for, like, a artist first, creators first kind of environment.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, I would be really down for more, like, Shonen Jump works be taken care of by Studio Wit. Like, if they did Dragon Ball Z or One Piece, even though people who are doing those 2 right now are doing a fine job, I'd be really happy about it, since I'm not like the biggest Toei fan.
Yeah.
Just watch now, we're gonna get copyright claimed by them.
For saying their name, I would not be surprised at
Yeah.
all.
The word Toei is copywritten audio, okay?
Yeah. So yeah, do you guys have any other thoughts about first impressions on Spy Family?
Which is better, the opening or the ending song?
Ending?
That's hard. That's really hard.
Opening.
I want to lean more towards the opening because I like more upbeat, faster paced songs. But the ending, I think, has better animation, in my opinion.
Do you know what the opening song is called?
Mixed Nuts.
It's the freaking cutest title I've ever heard. I'm still like not over it. I was gonna say the ending is better in my opinion, mainly because of the reminiscence kind of part where it literally has like scenes that's like commonly used and like ending songs of animes. Like they included a little like dance sequence with like Anya, Lloyd and Yor, and then there's also like Anya's PJs are so cute. I want it, but like my size. But I was gonna say it's the best because it reminds me of like a more R&B version of. Do you know the intro to like Wotakoi Love Is Hard for Otaku? Like the dance with it, like the finger dance and then the hand dance.
Yeah.
You
I know
honestly
that.
think I would watch something like that?
I mean, you don't have to watch it. You literally just hear that song so often, and like people like doing the dance. But I'm like, yeah, it sounds like an R&B version of that. I'm like, okay, I like it a lot, and so I have put it on my Spotify on repeat for like the past 2 days.
It is a definite bop. That is my professional music critic opinion of it.
I don't think either of the songs are all that great, but I think the animation for the ending is really good, so
Yeah.
I choose that. What about you, Matt?
It's I mean, yeah, I think I'm more of a fan of the opening, but I like them both. I like in the how the sequences at the in the opening start off with the more sort of innocent. I don't know like the proper terminology for it, but like just how the animation style switches to like cover both the kind of slice of life aspect and also the sort of actiony part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the animation was like pretty good in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's not much else to really talk about, considering it's only the first 4 episodes.
Get on the rest, you two. Stop reading, Cecile.
I will talk more later when my favorite boy appears, my favorite child.
Gojo.
Oh, Gojo's gonna make a cameo? I didn't realize.
I would be so down if there was like a show, like if Shonen Jump was like Marvel and all their properties were just happening in the same world. Like, make that canon. I want like Anya's backstory to be like her mother was killed by Vegeta. Okay.
And that's why she was crying. Yeah. She's a Saiyan. That's why. Okay. All right. So this has been our first impressions of Spy Family. It's a very good show. Oh, ratings. Let's go around. Let's start with Cecile. Cecile, how would you rate Spy Family?
The first 4 episodes or the whole series?
Do both actually. I want to know if there's a difference for you.
First 4 episodes like 7. Like they're wholesome. I'm still waiting for it to get to the better parts. And it doesn't include my best boy, so we're not that interested right now. But for the whole series, there's so much potential. Like I want to give it such a high rating because like if it does go into more of like a this is how it is similar to our world, then I will absolutely give it like a 10 out of 10. Like just off the bat. Because I like it when writers are able to implement their stories into our lives. It's going to almost become like our story in a sense. So that's why I would give it a higher rating because of the potential. If it fulfills or not, that depends. And also if the series actually finishes. If our author is actually going to be willing enough to finish the whole series.
Okay. All right. Dalton or Matt?
Okay, so my first ranking as an intellectual media consumer, I will give intellectual in air quotes, everyone, in air quotes. I will give it an 8 out of 10. But as a blood-drunk, action junkie shonen fan who's just coming off of Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, Ranking of Kings, Dragon Ball Z, and Naruto, I will give it a 6 out of 10. Not enough explosions. Now, Matt, question. Has this show finally cured your bitter, burning hatred of anime yet?
No. In fact, a lot has happened. I've seen a lot of good movies between now and my Jujutsu Kaisen review.
I hate that.
And I realized that I've been way too nice on shonen anime in general. So if you can go back to all of my Jujutsu Kaisen reviews and take them down like an extra point or two. And it's a good show, and I really like it. But, you know,
Doctor Strange.
I just saw, like, Everything Everywhere All at Once recently, and I don't think I can, like, put any shonen anime above, like, a 7. That being said, I like this show way more than, like... it's not shonen, right? What is this? What
technically.
Is this?
Technically.
It's technically?
I wouldn't call it. I would definitely not call it shonen.
It is a
I just like how relaxed and fun it
that
is.
Stuff is
it's a cute show. I really like it. That being said, I'm still giving it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
You heard?
So, yeah.
Wow.
You heard it here, right? You heard it here, everyone. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness killed Matt's opinion of anime.
Between 5.5 and 6, between there, like in that category. Actually, between 5 or 6.
I'm surprised.
Sorry, go on.
I'm surprised because like when we were talking about it beforehand, it seemed like you really liked it. It seemed like you might have been the one who liked it the most, so.
Out of all of us, I probably do like it the most. I'm just the most honest with my opinion. What can I say?
Okay.
That's
all right, then.
No. I mean, I do really like this, and I'll continue to watch it. But like, I don't know. It's good. So 6 out of 10. Yeah.
We gotta get this guy to watch some isekai.
Okay.
That'll like get all of his opinions back up. Like
I'd probably hate an isekai. I'd probably hate that.
Yeah, if we watch like any isekai, he'll like add another 3 points.
Incorrect. You know why? Because there is one potential isekai that I saw the animation for the trailer. I'm like, God damn, I want to see it. I want to read it. Have you not seen it? Like all the trailers for like this, it's apparently a hentai, which is even worse. Because it's like, I'm like, why? But at the same time, like the main character's hot, and then like the animation's so good for what?
Yeah, I saw that.
You know,
I
do wanna talk
about
about
it
just because it's kind of a momentous occasion in the culture. So
I'd like to amend my score. Actually, I think the writing is like a 6 out of 10, but the like the actual like animation and general vibe would be more like closer to a 7.
Nice.
Okay.
So
Yep.
So like a 6.5.
sure.
Sure.
I would give it a 6.5. And I feel like the potential it has is like an 8. Like I don't see it cracking 8. Maybe if something crazy happens. But I'm not going to stick around to find out because I'm probably not going to continue unless something crazy happens and people are like, oh, you have to watch Spy Family, then I'll come back to it. But I would say it's 6.5. Solid show, very good. I just think I've seen it before, and I'm a little bit confused about how hyped it is. But maybe I'm just like starting to become jaded.
You're jaded.
So,
Never
yeah,
listen to the opinions of anime fans.
You're
Everybody-
jaded right now?
So yeah, that has been our review, our first impressions of Spy Family episodes 1 through 4 with some spoilers sprinkled here and there. Thank you for watching, and come back for whatever our next review is.
More BS.
Bye.
No. Bye.
No.